Have you ever wondered if there are people in your life that you shouldn't help, no matter how much they seem to need it? In today's video, we will explore the delicate balance between compassion and wisdom as we uncover 8 types of people who may not deserve your help. The last type will surprise you. But before we dive into the list, I want to share a story that holds a timeless lesson, one that the Stoics would recognize as a guide to understanding human nature. There was once a wise man known throughout his village for his generosity and kindness. One day, while walking through his field, he came across a serpent trapped and struggling. Moved by pity, he freed the snake, providing it shelter and nourishment to help it recover. Days later, as the snake regained its strength, it struck the man with its venom, slithering away without a second thought. The man was left not just wounded, but wiser. He realized that no matter how much kindness he offered, the snake would always remain a creature bound by its nature. This story reveals a hard truth. There are people, like the snake, whose nature does not change, no matter how much help we give them. They take, and often, they harm in return. As Seneca said, "You must live for others if you wish to live for yourself." But there are limits. The Stoics remind us that wisdom lies in recognizing when our efforts to help may cause more harm than good. Imagine your energy as something finite, a resource that can either be uplifted or drained. There are those who recharge it, and there are those who drain it quickly, leaving you empty. Have you ever noticed that some people, no matter how much you give, only take more? Before we uncover these energy drainers, if you find value in Stoic lessons like this, take a moment to subscribe to stoicriseup and click the bell to stay updated with our newest insights. Together, we'll continue to explore the philosophy that brings wisdom to our everyday actions. Number 1. The ingrates. Have you ever encountered someone whose heart feels like an endless void? No matter how much you give, they seem to want more, never showing the slightest sign of satisfaction. You could be in the middle of a delightful evening with friends, and suddenly you hear someone loudly complaining about the food, the service, or even the smallest details like the color of the napkins. You know the type, the professional ingrate. But why do some people seem perpetually dissatisfied? Stoic philosophy offers us valuable insight here. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." The ingrates of the world, in contrast, focus solely on what they don't have, blocking all the good life offers. Psychologists have also studied this behavior. According to a study from the University of California, people with low self-esteem tend to be less grateful. It's as if they possess a filter that only allows negativity to pass through, leaving them blind to all the positive things happening around them. Now, we're not suggesting you sever ties with every person who forgets to say thank you. But it's important to recognize when someone repeatedly takes advantage of your kindness. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, observed, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The ungrateful are often enslaved by their desires, unable to see the value in what they already possess. In contrast, gratitude, much like a plant, requires nurturing. If you constantly pour your time, energy, and resources into a relationship that never bears fruit, perhaps it's time to ask if you're cultivating the wrong garden. Of course, we must differentiate between ingratitude and constructive honesty. That friend who tells you that you've got spinach stuck in your teeth before a meeting? They're not being ungrateful. They're acting with your best interests in mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." The harm is to persist in one's own self-deception and ignorance. True friends act out of care, not a lack of appreciation. Research also supports the power of gratitude. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who practice gratitude are not only happier, but they also build stronger, longer-lasting relationships. It's as if gratitude acts as the invisible glue that binds us to others. So, what should we do when faced with the perpetually ungrateful? Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control others, only our response to them. Marcus Aurelius advises, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Instead of becoming frustrated by the ungrateful, we can view them as an opportunity to strengthen our own gratitude. It's like training a muscle. The more we practice appreciation, the stronger it becomes. However, being grateful does not mean becoming a bottomless well for others to draw from. Setting boundaries is essential. Seneca reminds us, nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. But gratitude, like generosity, must come from a place of authenticity, not resentment. Remember, their lack of gratitude says more about them than it does about you. As Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The next time you encounter an ungrateful person, take a deep breath and remember your own worth. Ask yourself, is this person deserving of my energy? If the answer is no, it's perfectly acceptable to take a step back. This isn't selfishness, it's self-care. And if you do choose to continue helping, do so because you genuinely wish to, not because you're seeking recognition. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In the end, we should act with virtue, treating others with kindness and integrity, but always remembering that our own well-being matters too. Number 2. The lazy. Have you ever met someone who seems allergic to effort, as if the couch is their natural habitat and the remote control is an extension of their hand? These are the people who always find an excuse to avoid exertion, the masters of doing nothing. We've all encountered them. Those who can skillfully procrastinate while teaching us an unintended lesson about what not to do with our time. Imagine you're in a meeting, and someone says, "I couldn't finish the report because my cat ate my motivation." Yes, you've just witnessed the professional sloth in action. But why do some people seem to excel at procrastination? Could there be more to it than simple laziness? According to a study from the University of Calgary, laziness might be an evolutionary strategy. It's as if our ancestors, who needed to conserve energy to escape predators, passed down a gene for battery-saving mode. But in today's world, where most of us don't need to outrun wild animals, this strategy has become counterproductive. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca reminds us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Procrastination not only robs us of productivity, but also of life's true potential. Psychologist William James once said, "Nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal days of an incomplete task." He was right. Procrastination doesn't just harm our work, it impacts our mental health. A study in the Journal of Psychological Science found that chronic procrastinators experience higher levels of stress and poorer health overall. By delaying what needs to be done, we carry unnecessary burdens, and these burdens compound over time. But not all hope is lost for our lazy counterparts. Even Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, recognized moments of laziness in himself, writing, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being." Sometimes, a bit of laziness can lead to creative problem-solving. After all, necessity is the mother of invention, and our attempts to avoid work can sometimes spark innovative ideas. So, how do we identify a chronic sloth? Here are some telltale signs. 1. The king of excuses. These individuals have an endless supply of excuses. "I couldn't exercise because my plant needed me to sing to it" is just the beginning. 2. The "I'll do it tomorrow" expert. Tomorrow for them is a magical place where everything gets done. But spoiler alert, that tomorrow never comes. 3. Leisure multitasking. They can scroll through Instagram, binge-watch Netflix, and complain about how busy they are, all at the same time. If they put that energy toward being productive, they'd probably solve world hunger by now. 4. The shortcut finder. Always on the hunt for the easiest path, they'd be the first to download an app that breathes for them. 5. The 5 more minutes enthusiast. The alarm clock is merely a suggestion. They promise themselves 5 more minutes, only to wake up an hour later. Now, I'm not suggesting you cut ties with everyone who prefers naps to gym sessions. But be mindful, surrounding ourselves with laziness can dull our own drive. Epictetus warned, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Spending too much time with the chronically lazy can sap our own energy and ambition. As entrepreneur Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." If your circle is filled with individuals who constantly avoid effort, you might find your own productivity slipping. Choose your company wisely, or you may end up as the only tooth in a mouthful of motivational cavities. Number 3. The irresponsible. Have you ever met someone who seems to glide through life without facing any consequences for their actions? Welcome to the perplexing world of the irresponsible. Those who are experts at dodging commitments and shifting blame onto anyone but themselves. Picture this. You're on a boat, and suddenly a hole appears in the hull, water rushing in. While you and the rest of the crew frantically work to plug the leak and bail out the water, there's one person calmly sunbathing on the deck, saying, "It's not my problem. I didn't make the hole." This is the irresponsible person in their natural habitat. When we attempt to help someone with this behavior, it often feels like a frustrating cycle. No matter how much support we offer, it rarely translates into real progress. The irresponsible person avoids accountability at every turn and has an almost Olympic-level talent for blaming others for their failures. If something goes wrong, even if it's entirely outside of your control, you may still end up being the scapegoat. This is not only unfair, but can take a significant toll on both your emotional well-being and your reputation. As Epictetus wisely said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The irresponsible person, stuck in their cycle of blame, resists learning from their mistakes, which makes helping them a daunting task. So, how do we deal with people who live like this? An effective approach is to encourage them to reflect on their actions and the consequences. Rather than solving their problems for them, guide them towards developing self-awareness and self-management skills. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The irresponsible need to understand that personal growth begins with accountability. Neuroscientist Richard Davidson has shown that the brain is incredibly adaptable, capable of changing and evolving even in adulthood. There's hope for the irresponsible, but they often require a push. Perhaps an elephant-sized push to start taking responsibility. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." In this context, education extends beyond academic knowledge. It includes learning to accept responsibility and grow from mistakes. Dealing with irresponsible people is an exercise in patience and self-control. As Seneca reminds us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare, they are difficult. Sometimes the challenge lies in showing someone the path to accountability without losing our own composure. In the words of philosopher Bertrand Russell, "The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent are full of doubt." The next time you find yourself face to face with someone who consistently avoids responsibility, take a moment to breathe and remember that your ability to question whether helping them is wise shows your own intelligence. While helping others is an admirable quality, there are limits. That limit is often reached when someone begins using your kindness as a pillow for their irresponsibility. Instead of becoming frustrated, consider this an opportunity to practice the art of saying no with kindness but firmness. Sometimes the best way to help someone is by stepping back and allowing them to face the consequences of their own actions. Before we move on to the 4th type of person, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. And if you're passionate about learning as I am, drop a comment below saying, "I love wisdom." Let's continue this journey of growth and self-improvement together. Number 4, the manipulators. This group presents a unique challenge. They are true artists in the subtle and often invisible craft of manipulation. These individuals take advantage of sincere goodwill, twisting acts of kindness to serve their own interests, without any intention of reciprocation or personal improvement. Imagine playing a game of chess, only to realize your opponent can move your pieces without you even noticing. That's what it feels like to be caught in the web of a skilled manipulator. But don't worry. Today, we're going to learn how to recognize their tactics and defend ourselves from their manipulative tricks. Why do some people seem to have an uncanny ability to manipulate others? Psychology offers us some insights. According to a study conducted by Stanford University, individuals with narcissistic and Machiavellian traits are more prone to manipulative behaviors. It's as if they have an internal GPS tuned to locate the shortest route to their own benefit, regardless of who gets hurt along the way. Now, we're not suggesting you become paranoid or put on a tinfoil hat, distrusting everyone you meet. But it is crucial to develop a radar for spotting these emotional pirates. As Epictetus once said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Manipulators rely on their target's lack of awareness to gain control, which is why knowledge is our best defense. Robert Cialdini, a well-known psychologist, reminds us that the best defense against manipulation is knowledge. Think of your emotional well-being as a fortress. Manipulators are like invaders, constantly testing your defenses for weaknesses. If your walls are weak, before you know it, they'll be sitting in your living room, eating your nachos and controlling the remote control of your life. So, how can we identify a professional manipulator? Here are some warning signs. 1. The emotional chameleon. They change their personality faster than a teenager changes moods. With every person they meet, they adapt, becoming exactly what they believe the other person wants to see. This flexibility is key to their ability to gain trust and leverage influence. 2. The gaslighting expert. They make you doubt your own perception of reality. Classic lines like, "Are you sure that's how it happened? I think your memory is playing tricks on you," leave you questioning yourself, allowing them to subtly gain control over your thoughts and actions. 3. The self-esteem sniper. With seemingly innocent comments, they take aim at your confidence. Statements like, "Oh, are you going to wear that? Well, I guess if you're comfortable," are designed to erode your self-worth over time. Marcus Aurelius once warned, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Manipulators know this and use it to their advantage, chipping away at your sense of self, one calculated remark at a time. But when we are aware of these tactics, we can resist their influence, and instead fortify our inner strength. One thing to remember, manipulators thrive on your emotional vulnerability. By recognizing their tactics and setting firm boundaries, you can protect yourself from their toxic influence. As Seneca wrote, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, not those who seek to pull you down for their own gain. In the end, the best way to deal with manipulators is to strengthen your own resolve and sharpen your awareness. Be mindful of who you allow into your inner circle and trust your instincts. Epictetus advises, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Manipulators will often try to make you feel naive for not falling into their traps. But your wisdom in recognizing their games is your greatest strength. Number 5. The chronic critics. These individuals possess an infallible radar, finely tuned to detect flaws in every situation or person they encounter. From your choice of clothing to the way you organize your day, they'll always find something to criticize. Identifying them is as easy as listening to their conversations. If their comments are often more negative than constructive, you're likely dealing with a chronic critic. Engaging with them can feel like navigating an emotional minefield. No matter how well-intentioned your efforts are, they will always manage to cut you down with their razor-sharp criticism. But why do they act this way? Studies suggest that chronic critics often use criticism as a tool to establish power or control over others. It can also be a way for them to project their own insecurities onto those around them. It's as if they wear special glasses that highlight only the flaws, ignoring the good in every situation. Epictetus, in his teachings, reminds us of an important truth. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is key when dealing with chronic critics. How we respond makes all the difference. Rather than internalizing their negativity, it's essential to keep a balanced perspective. Their criticism often reflects more about them than it does about you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." While constructive criticism is valuable for personal growth, chronic criticism is more destructive, eroding self-esteem and undermining confidence. One way to counteract the negative impact of a chronic critic is to steer the conversation towards positive or constructive solutions. Sometimes, simply shifting the subject can be your best defense against their verbal attacks. As Seneca advises, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and inspire, rather than those who consistently tear you down. It's important to remember that while constructive feedback can help us grow, chronic criticism serves only to tear us apart. By setting clear boundaries and maintaining a positive attitude, you can shield yourself from their negative influence while creating a more encouraging and supportive environment around you. In the end, as Epictetus teaches, we should always be asking ourselves, is this something that is or is not in my control? You can't control the critics, but you can control how much of their negativity you allow into your life. Choose to focus on the constructive voices that help you grow, and let the chronic critic's words drift away like passing clouds. Number 6. The narcissists. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have a mirror where their soul should be? Welcome to the fascinating world of narcissists, individuals who have elevated self-love to an Olympic level. Engaging with a narcissist can feel like trying to fill the Grand Canyon with a single glass of water. No matter how much you give, it's never enough to satisfy their insatiable need for attention. But you're not alone. According to a study from Indiana University, about 6% of the population exhibits significant narcissistic traits. This means you're likely to encounter at least one or two of these self-absorbed individuals in your daily life. How can you identify these individuals, the number one fans of themselves? Well, if you've ever met someone who believes the sun rises solely to illuminate their face, you're likely looking at a narcissist. These people have an incredible talent for turning any conversation into a monologue about their achievements, no matter how trivial. Epictetus offers a valuable reminder. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Narcissists are often so consumed by their own self-image that they fail to see or acknowledge the value in others. Dealing with a narcissist can be more exhausting than trying to teach a cat to bark. But don't despair. There are strategies you can use. Dr. Craig Malkin, author of Reinventing Narcissism, suggests setting clear boundaries. His advice isn't about changing the narcissist, because let's face it, you won't. It's about changing how you engage with them. One effective tactic is known as selective validation. Much like training a dog, you reinforce positive behavior and ignore the negative. When the narcissist occasionally shows a glimpse of empathy, yes, it does happen, acknowledge it. Offer positive reinforcement. But when they start their usual routine of self-glorification, simply don't play along. You are not obligated to be the captive audience for their never-ending one-person show. As actress Bette Midler once remarked, the ego is a voracious octopus that feeds on your life. Don't let the narcissist in your life be that octopus, draining your energy and attention. However, let's be clear. Healthy confidence is not the same as narcissism. The difference lies in empathy and the relentless need for admiration. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." While a confident person takes joy in the success of others, a narcissist perceives those successes as a threat to their own greatness. In short, dealing with a narcissist can be challenging, but it's also an opportunity to strengthen your own patience and compassion. And who knows, you might even learn something valuable in the process. After all, as Oscar Wilde wisely said, to know oneself is to observe the behavior of others. When we see how a narcissist behaves, it reflects not only on them, but also teaches us about our own boundaries and strengths. Number 7. The advantage takers. Imagine encountering someone who always seems to be on the hunt, constantly searching for opportunities to benefit at the expense of others, without regard for the consequences. This is the freeloader, an individual who has mastered the art of taking advantage of others' generosity or resources without offering anything in return, other than their own convenience. They often appear charming and friendly, but beneath the facade lies an opportunistic mindset that can erode trust in any relationship. However, let's not confuse a freeloader with someone who genuinely needs help. The difference lies in the pattern of behavior and the presence or lack of reciprocity. As psychologist Harriet Breaker once said, freeloaders are experts at making you feel guilty when you don't meet their expectations. They subtly manipulate situations, often making you feel as though you're in the wrong for setting boundaries. Detecting a freeloader can be tricky. They often hide their true intentions behind a collaborative front. One of the clearest signs of a freeloader is their lack of reciprocity. They are always ready to accept help, but when it's time to return the favor, they are nowhere to be found. They rely on flattery or vague promises to get what they want, without ever fully committing to contribute. When there are benefits to be reaped, they are first in line. But when effort or sacrifice is required, they mysteriously vanish. Dealing with a freeloader requires setting clear boundaries and being mindful of your own resources and limits. It's crucial to establish expectations from the start, what you are willing to offer and what you expect in return. Epictetus reminds us, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Protecting your resources, whether emotional or material, means being clear about your willingness to give, while ensuring you're not left feeling drained or used. Encouraging reciprocity is also key. By promoting a fair balance of give and take, you motivate the freeloader to contribute equally to relationships. This can be achieved by dividing responsibilities or clearly defining roles and expectations. Seneca, in his wisdom, said, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer." In healthy relationships, both parties are willing to give because they genuinely care, not because they are pressured or manipulated. From a psychological standpoint, freeloaders often exhibit a combination of low empathy and high opportunism. Studies on human behavior suggest that certain personality types are more likely to engage in manipulative behaviors to fulfill their own interests, without considering the emotional or practical impact on others. By understanding how to identify and manage freeloaders, you can protect your emotional well-being and cultivate healthier, more equitable relationships. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In the same way, the quality of your relationships depends on your ability to recognize and manage those who might take advantage of your generosity. In any relationship, giving and receiving are essential, but when you find yourself constantly giving without receiving anything in return, it may be time to reassess the situation. Investing your time, energy, and effort into people who do not value or appreciate your contributions can be emotionally draining. Sometimes, it's better to channel that energy into more balanced and rewarding relationships where your efforts are genuinely reciprocated and valued. Number 8. The envious imagine winning the lottery. Who would you tell first? Before you start making a mental list, let me share an interesting fact with you. According to a study conducted by Harvard University, 70% of lottery winners experience a deterioration in their personal relationships after their victory. The main culprit? Envy. But you don't need to win millions to feel the corrosive effects of envy. Whether it's a new promotion at work or a budding relationship, there are always those who seem ready to launch their poisonous darts of disapproval and resentment. What makes some people more prone to envy? Psychologist Sarah Pratassi, in her book The Philosophy of Envy, suggests that envy arises when we perceive a gap between what we have and what we believe we deserve. It's as if we have an internal cosmic justice counter that goes haywire when someone else achieves something we feel should have been ours. Interestingly, envy isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can be a powerful motivator if harnessed correctly. As Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Whether envy leads us toward success or failure depends on how we handle it. We can either allow it to fester or use it as fuel to grow. One of the most counterintuitive but effective ways to deal with envy, both our own and that of others, is to keep our successes and plans private. Yes, in an age where it seems like nothing is real unless it's posted on social media, I'm suggesting the opposite. Marcus Aurelius advised the secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. By keeping your victories and goals to yourself, you protect your motivation and energy from being derailed by external negativity. There's even science to back this up. A study published in Psychological Science found that people who kept their goals secret were 70% more likely to achieve them than those who shared them widely. When you talk about your plans, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical released when you actually achieve the goal, creating a false sense of accomplishment and reducing your drive to keep pushing. Sharing your plans also exposes you to the envy of others, who may not be as supportive as they seem. Gore Vidal once said, "Every time a friend succeeds, I die a little." This quote encapsulates the destructive nature of envy. It's not about the success itself, but about how it makes others feel. So, how do you identify the envious people in your life? Here are some warning signs. 1. The forced congratulator. Their congratulations feel more forced than genuine, like someone begrudgingly saying bon appetit at a meal they don't want to eat. 2. The professional minimizer. No matter how significant your achievement is, they'll reduce it to mere luck or claim it's no big deal. 3. The compulsive competitor. Your success is just an excuse for them to tell you how they did it better, faster, or cheaper. 4. The covert saboteur. They praise you in public, but behind the scenes, they work to undermine your progress. 5. The information collector. They ask for details about your plans, not out of genuine interest, but to find flaws or copy your ideas. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to protecting yourself. The second step is adopting what I call an oyster mentality. Just as oysters turn irritants into pearls, you can turn the envy of others into motivation to continue growing and improving. Seneca once wrote, "He who envies others does not obtain peace of mind." Envy is a reflection of the insecurities of others, and when you see it for what it is, it loses its power over you. Eleanor Roosevelt said it best, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." So, the next time you feel the envious gaze of others, smile. Not because you enjoy their discomfort, but because it's a sign that you're on the right path. Protect your energy and share your successes selectively with those you know will genuinely celebrate with you. As Bertrand Russell wisely said, "Don't worry about what others think of you. They care far less than you imagine." So the next time you have big news or exciting plans, take a deep breath, smile to yourself, and treasure it. Share it only with those you trust, those who will uplift and support you. In the end, the best success is the one that doesn't need to be announced. Let your achievements speak for themselves, because after all, actions always speak louder than words. And they certainly attract less envy. As we wrap up, it's clear that not everyone is deserving of our help. Whether it's the ingrate, the lazy, the irresponsible, the manipulator, the chronic critic, the narcissist, the advantage taker, or the envious, learning to recognize these types of people is crucial for protecting our emotional well-being and maintaining healthy relationships. Stoic wisdom teaches us that while helping others is a noble pursuit, we must also be mindful of our own energy, setting boundaries to avoid being drained by those who don't truly value our support. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, remember to surround yourself with people who uplift you, people who bring out the best in you, and distance yourself from those who weigh you down. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Rise Up. Make sure to hit the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you want to dive deeper into Stoic philosophy, check out our playlist, Stoicism for a Fulfilling Life. Let's continue growing and learning together, applying Stoic principles to improve our lives and relationships. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay grounded and stay Stoic.